Hi and welcome. I'm Les Bubka, and this is Accidental Podcast or something like that. My today's guest is Tracy James from Project Aspire. Hello, Tracy. How are you?
Hi, Les. I'm really good, thank you. Really, really good. Delighted to be joining you today. Thank you.
It's awesome. It's awesome to know you. Awesome that you're doing all that great help to other people and working with the council. Could you tell us who is Tracy James?
Who is Tracy James? Easy peasy, that one, Les. Easy peasy. Started with an easy question. Tracy James, Tracy James. I've been with BBC 2002, so it's quite some time. It was my first appointment, so to speak, in a local authority, so it was all very new to me. And I started the role as a community safety warden, which was fundamentally linked to kind of like all the environmental work. Locally in given wards. I was in a team, I think there were 7 of us at the time, might have been 7, and we were placed in given wards across the borough, so Ash, Westborough, Stoke. It was absolutely a delightful position to hold. It was a huge learning curve from those early days, and what's happened over the years is we've now evolved into the now community wellbeing team. And fundamentally that's the core part of our everyday and our every function. So, but me as Tracy, what do? My interests and hobbies, I love walking. I love the Highlands. I went up about 10 years ago to visit some family, fell in love with the place and tried to go up at least twice a year. So I bore everybody with my stories, lots of mountains and snow and Narnia, but I absolutely love it up there. It's a magical, it's a real calming and sense of finding yourself place, the Highlands. Beautiful. Music, I love listening to music. I have a real eclectic mix. Everybody from David Bowie, Lady Gaga, ABBA, you name it. I love a good dance around and I listen to most music. So kind of that's me really. Walking's my passion. I've had a recent diagnosis of, can you believe, showing my age, getting on a bit, and I've had a recent diagnosis of arthritis in one of my feet, which is it's really knocked me a bit actually. And you'll know about that because I've said, Liz, help, what do I do? What exercises do I need to do? So thank you for that. But all these things are sent to try us and we overcome them. And that's a huge part of kind of what I try to do every day in my role. We're faced with stuff. So rather than actually not jump that hurdle and find it, let's do it together. And so similarly, that's what I'm going to do with myself too. So
excellent. So I've got a set of questions for you. But I'm going to start with the odd one. I have to modify it. I ask that everybody who's on my podcast. The question is how the martial arts impacted your mental health. But because you don't do martial arts, how the choir impacted your mental health? Because you're doing a choir. Because I know you're a member of choir, and that's kind of similar activities.
Absolutely. For a whole host of reasons. I think for me, actually, that it initially started through work because it came up at a conference about, is there anything that was missing in the place that I was supporting? So currently that's Westborough and Park Barn. And together with the colleagues that I was in that day, we spoke about music and a choir. But I have no musical background at all. But literally 6 years, we've been now running for 6 years. We have a whole host of people, mainly coming from the Park Barn and Westborough area. But singing, we've just found to be such an uplifting and amazing, kind of group exercise. You do it individually, but you come together as a group. And it's just been, I hear some really, really lovely stories, people going out at the end of the day. Oh, that was amazing. I came really tired, but I've gone home feeling really good. So similarly, the choir is not as energetic as martial arts, but I have to say, I think fundamentally it has the same power behind it in that it uplifts, it brings people together. It gives you a really good feeling, and you kind of go endorphins that come with singing and being part of something is, pretty magical. So long may that continue.
Yeah, I do agree that being part of something and have a good company, it's always uplifting and helpful. So it doesn't matter what you do, it is great. Okay, now coming back to the subject, Could you tell me something more about your role and Project Aspire, or Aspire? Previous Project Aspire. I know that some changes now happened. Can you tell us about it?
Absolutely. So currently I'm in a team of, there's 8 of us. So there are other community wardens that again are placed in different areas, but we're all supporting across Guildford Borough. We have an office in Park Barn and an office in Ash. We have a resident involvement officer, Georgina, who works with us, and a neighbourhood connector, Willow. And fundamentally, all of our roles is about community wellbeing. It's about connections, about engagement. It's about signposting, helping people when they need funds, which is where Aspire fits in. Currently, as a team, most of us have been working from home since the onset of lockdown, but we have been placed in the most amazing role of supporting Guildford residents, again, across the borough, you know, as far as Effingham, right out to Ash, with the helpline calls. So we help to process those when the calls come in to either us directly through our community wellbeing inbox, which we all manage, or via the customer service centre at Guildford Borough Council. We feed those through to the hubs. We have 2 hubs, one in Shorefield, Ash, and one in Park Barn, where we help to deliver vital food supplies and the collections of medication and prescriptions for people that have been struggling or shielding since the lockdown situation. So that's been incredible. As part of that, we call quite an amount of people each week. So they are residents that we would have met prior to lockdown, but also our older community, so residents that are part of community daycare services. And we call them regularly, once, twice, maybe 3 times a week if people need that. So it's been incredible. It's been a real having to adapt, but we've been placed in a role that is still very supportive. As part of that, we send out regular newsletters still. We've connected in a really different way in that people are sending us photographs and the creations that they've made, you know, if we put an activity in the newsletter. And if anything, actually, it's extended the reach that we have with people around just connecting, because people have got more time at home. So it's been an incredible shift. We host a Facebook page. My colleague Claudia manages that, and our followers have, I think we've reached about 800 now. The newsletter is well received. So hugely, I think what I'm alluding to there is connecting and being communicators and signposting, and that's been amazing over the last few months. It's been strange because all I've ever known in the role is being with people every day, you know, whether it's an individual person or whether it's in a group, organising an event or doing something other. So it's been really strange having to work from home, and I resisted that. I kept saying to my manager, oh, I'm not sure, I don't think I can, you know, customise myself to it. But I have now, because we all found a purpose, and that purpose still was helping, supporting, getting people that, you know, what they needed, even, you know, in a virtual way. Most of the time you're on the other end of the phone. It's not quite the same, but a virtual way. Project Aspire, now known as Aspire, supports and fundamentally there for individuals and community groups that may need some support. Again, that is linked with the environment or promoting physical activity or well-being. So again, it's, if you can consider that, if you were looking to apply, the application form is really easy. It's like a 2-page submission. You can just email it through, it kind of get looked at, and you get to find out whether you've been successful or not quite quickly. But fundamentally, you need to look at promoting well-being, physical activity or environment. So would it be helpful to have maybe a couple of examples of previous funders that were successful?
Sure. I would like to ask you something before that in relation to Project Aspire, because I used it successfully, so I'm the one of the successful projects.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if Aspire is just unique for Guildford, or there are other projects on national scale, because a lot of people who listen to my podcast have clubs all over .uk, and they sometimes struggle with finding funding. Is that something that government does, or is it that the idea from Guildford?
Aspire has been, as far as I know, Guildford driven, but most local authorities will hold community funds. So it really is worth, whether up and down the country, it really is worth contacting your local council, asking if there is a development team or there is community development funds, which normally most, I believe, authorities will hold. So it really is worth applying. Aspire has been driven by the community need and actually, you know, offering people back that opportunity to do something, which, you know, you'll be in tune with, Liz. So it's about fundamentally kind of giving a bit of a step up, but also about groups and individuals actually that just need a little bit more, which is quite unique to some of the funding pots that tend to be out there. But in answer to your question, it really is worth asking local authorities where they hold community grants, and most of them will do.
Yeah. It's for those who don't know, I'm working with Project Aspire, what, 4 or 5 years now?
Yeah,
with your support and stuff, and both your team and your boss Samantha, it's very helpful, very caring and promoting all the community stuff. So I recommend going to the council and speak with people, and you can do amazing things. Now, as you mentioned before, give us a few successful stories from the Guildford area, and how did you manage to help them and what they do?
Yeah, well, I kind of went back, Les, and had a look at some of the previous applications. So not all of them would have been mine, but certainly to give you a flavour of kind of like the diversity. So we've had schools apply, and that could be either gardening or physical activities in the schools. Some of the community centres they've applied to based on some of the things that they want to run within their groups. And they've been either individual applications or been groups. And in the main, primarily groups, but they've come from churches where perhaps they wanted to either look at supporting a new or existing group. Some schools have applied for gardening clubs, etc. One of the ones I remember visiting was a Saturday Sports Club, which is a group for children with additional need, physical disabilities, based up at Surrey Sports Park one Saturday. And that was a really lovely visit. So I met mums and dads and family members, and their application, I believe, was for some more equipment, some of the soft play. And just watching the children enjoy that and looking at the bits that we were able to help fund was just really, really endearing and lovely to see, because without that, I think they probably would have been struggling for a bit longer. It really is mixed, but as long as you're linking it to health, well-being, perhaps the environment, it may be that you want to kind of look at finding a plot where you can grow some vegetables or bringing people together. I know everything's a bit up in the air at the minute, but certainly as long as it, you know, strikes a chord with well-being, either individually or people working together, then it should be a successful application.
Excellent. And it's really worth it. Like I said, I had it done with you before, and we've been successful twice at the moment. So it really helped bring the people together and open up the club for elderly and bit younger audience as well. So how did you and your team adapt to since lockdown? You mentioned that briefly, that you're working all from home.
Absolutely, it's been a real transition, because for a team that, you know, fundamentally bring people together, work with people, talk with people every day, it's like gone from this buzz and just this hive of activity with all of that to kind of sitting at your desk at home. And but we found new ways, and I think I mentioned earlier, it's been quite striking how we've actually increased the amounts of people that kind of connecting with us, and people are sending photographs of their creations that they've made. One of our team suggested letters to a stranger, and I believe we're at about 54 poems and letters that have been sent in. And what we do with those is they're printed off and they go to our Meals on Wheels, so our community meals customers, for those that may be in isolation, not seeing many people. So that's been amazing to see that. I think I mentioned Facebook. The growth on Facebook's been pretty phenomenal, and again, that connection with people, you know, sending in pictures and connecting just in a different way, which we've all had to do. So it's been quite something to adapt to. I think moving forward, we have to think about what that might look like safely for everybody going forward. And we're starting to have team discussions now about what that might look like. We've put together a kind of comprehensive, I don't know, list, I suppose we could call it, creatively offered to our manager about what we think could be a good way forward with some of our projects, adapting them in a more virtual way or in a safe way. So as we know, things are changing all the time. We heard this morning that the 2 metre rule might be reduced to 1. So, you know, if that happens, it may be that we can, you know, start looking at maybe some of our community groups again. Those, for people that don't know, are really just about confidence building, self-esteem. There are a lot of people in community that don't actually feel very confident in connecting either in groups or individually. You'll know we're based at different centres, so just encouraging people to come through, come to the coffee shop, just as a real lift to people that might be in not such a great space at this minute. And then by getting involved in activities or volunteering, that's another huge thing that we do, enable people into volunteering. It just helps create change for people, and that first step into going back into training or employment or education, whatever, you know, the path is that person's currently on, we're really there to help with that. So in a very roundabout way, we're often asked, well, how do you measure that? How do you, you know, where's your success? And it really is difficult for anybody that's aware of community development. How do you kind of tick all the boxes to say, we've done this, 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 and this? Often it's quite silent and it's done behind the scenes, because I'll connect with somebody, they have a really good experience, they join a group, off they go, you know, they fly, they flourish, and we might not hear from them again. But I think for a value for money, if that's quite a difficult question that people want to ask, you know, how do your team prove your worth? How do you earn your salary? I think in a very roundabout way, we do reduce some of the expenditure at Guildford because we're helping through different forums. So whereas somebody might be having a really difficult time, phoning up the council every 5 minutes for help, if we've connected with that person, then often the case is we've kind of helped right at the onset to enable help into mental health service, or it could be, you know, health and wellbeing, a club, an activity, and that has reduced actually the costs that would be impacted on Guildford in a different way. So it really is hard to measure our work. None of us ever underestimate what an incredible position that we are in, and I hold that very dearly most days. It's a really valuable position. It allows me to connect with, you know, little ones right through to we've had a lady of over 100 that's been sending us letters, and yeah, it's been amazing. So to still have that, you know, to come from a role of community safety and to be, what's that, 18 years, 19 years, 18 years, 2002, to be in a position where Guildford have recognised the need and the support for wellbeing. It's just been amazing, and I hope it continues. Who knows, with a very tricky future ahead, but it's been invaluable, and I feel very, very privileged to be part of it and working with so many amazing people.
Sure. It kind of have to, the lockdown had to impact your, because you've got a great project of community fridge, you've got a swap shop or a charity shop on the bottom
Yeah, the
corner,
hive.
yeah, and you've got the hive. Is that the new development? So that's kind of hindered it a bit, isn't it?
Yeah, the Part 1 Centre is soon, it's going to, basically in April, we were hoping to, you know, go full out on a massive promotion of changing the name of the building. The centre has to become much more a building for all ages, all generations, and we just felt that a name change would support that. And so we're starting to kind of drip feed that out. It's going to be called the Hive, but part of the Hive is a whole host of other kind of opportunities for people to get involved, from the play zone for our younger generation, the coffee shop, and also we have an area where people can donate items, and then people can come either collect. What we're doing now is literally we're bagging up, and people can just come and take rather than they come and filter through. It's a big unit on site. It's almost like a shop now. Railed and so that hopefully that we will resurface that, but at the minute Georgina is currently working 3 days at Park Barnes. So if people come to us, and they have been, some of our school link workers have said, you know, could we help with these items, or can we get these items, and we will bundle up what we think is appropriate, and you know, we're able to get those across to families and individuals that need a bit of a hand. Some people have moved even in this time, and they might have moved and need kind of a little bit of help with some household items. So that is still operating, but just again in a very different way. The community fridge has been outstanding. We're supported by 3 organisations. I think it's Co-op, Fair Share, M&S, and Cheesemans. So those items have actually been still coming in, but also helping with the food parcels. So any of those items, fresh, whichever they may be, they're going towards the food boxes that are going out to people on a daily basis. I must just mention Positano. They're an Italian restaurant in Guildford, and they have been outstanding. From the onset of lockdown, they, through Guildford Lions and colleagues at Voluntary Action South West Surrey, we enabled the coming together, all of us working together, and they deliver over 100 fresh meals, pasta meals, every week to the hubs, which then go out to families and individuals. Absolutely outstanding. We can't praise the restaurant enough for all their incredible work. Franco and his team have just been phenomenal in supporting the community, and we've seen so much of that. People coming together and that normally would just be behind the scenes, never really surface with all the amazing things that they're doing. So watching that has been really heartwarming and incredible to see all the amazing things that people are doing behind the scenes. So big up to Positano and everybody else that's doing, all of these things about supporting each other at this difficult time.
If you send me links, I put them in the bottom of description.
Of course I will.
So I can share with them. What I noticed from your work is that you kind of people who know people. So through you, I've got the connections with kind of few organizations like Oakleaf, Welcome Project, and stuff like that. So you kind of, in my opinion, the connector.
Thank you.
You know people who need to know other people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's a conversation that we've had because we've actually even developed that even further. So all of us have our own sets of skills to bring to the team. Some of us have been here longer than others, and I don't know whether that's always a good thing to be, okay, so I've got 18 years behind me, but we've got fresh skills and new ideas and real creativity within the team now. But absolutely, yeah, I think if people come to us, there isn't probably, I can't give an example where we haven't been able to, even if we didn't know the question at first, we'd go away and between us, one of us would come up with the answer or the solution or the recommendation to go to a particular group or organisation. And again, I find that a real amazing thing for us as a team, that collectively we're quite a powerhouse, to be honest with you. Yeah. We've got quite a lot of knowledge behind us, yeah.
I know, because I constantly coming up to you with my questions, but you don't know answers. I have to check. We have to figure out something.
That's what we're here for.
What do you think will be the future of the Aspire? What you're gonna evolve? What you're gonna do? What's the plans?
Yeah, for Aspire, the longevity of Aspire, that's something that I can't answer because that sits with senior management and kind of our corporate management team. But I'd like to think that there is an element of support there, whether it comes under the banner of Aspire or through our community grants. It's very well received, and as I was saying earlier, often actually those onsets of enabling people up onto a platform to get them somewhere else is crucial for a whole host of reasons, not least of all sort of financial. So I'd like to think that Aspire will continue, but I can't 100% answer that because that doesn't kind of sit with me. But the wellbeing team, similarly, if we can create a way forward that is still connecting, still supporting, still being that as you've said, a bit of a one-stop shop in enabling people to the help and support that they need, then hopefully there's a future for our team. But it's a difficult time, Liz. Who knows? It's a really difficult time. People are going to be coming out of a whole host of situations, and I think going forward in September, we'll see potentially an increase in help that's being asked for because people have struggled through this time, but it's still very difficult. I'd like to think that we're still here and maybe we're having a chat in a year's time, but who knows? It's very, very difficult. It really is at this time.
Could you tell us where we can find information about Aspire Wellbeing, community wellbeing,
Absolutely, yeah. If you were to, so we have our own, you can connect to us through Facebook, or one of the, some would say older fashioned, but I still quite like the idea of we send out regular newsletters. So people can have regular updates from us that way. I believe we tweet, so we're on Twitter. But if people just wanted to kind of do a search, you can go onto Guildford Borough Council web pages and put in community wellbeing, and a whole host of information will come up there. It tells us about what we do, tells you about the grants and a whole host of other things. But so there's lots of different ways, either directly through the Borough Council website, or you can come direct to us and sign up to a whole host of things. The Facebook, I think, is probably the page where you can see all of the interactions, and it's really up to date. But I have to say, the newsletters, we've been issuing those weekly since March, and they've been very well received as well, because we try to keep the government guidelines as up to date as possible. We've put posts in there about, creating your own face masks, so they've been really well received as well. But if people just want to independently do it, they can actually just go onto the Borough Council website and find a whole host of details there.
Awesome. It was a pleasure to have you, Tracy.
Thank you. No, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for all the great information. I'm going to post links to your website and Facebooks and stuff like that below. And if you can send me the list of helpers who you mentioned, I tag them as well, so maybe they can listen to it and appreciate it.
Lovely. Okay. Thank you, Liz.
Thank you very much.